In 2022, two blokes from Iceland posted a gameplay trailer for a medieval zombie co-op game. It got nearly 4 million views on IGN's channel alone, racked up 1.5 million Steam wishlists, and then the developers basically went silent for 3 years, which, in the games industry, usually means one of two things. Either the game is quietly being cancelled, or it's quietly being made properly. So which is it? Because after 4 years of waiting, we have some actual answers, and honestly, they're better than I expected. So let's start at the beginning, because the story of how this game exists is actually ridiculous. Blight Survival was created by High Studios, which at the time consisted of exactly two people, Mads Christensen and Ulrik Landvansbeeten, two Icelandic developers who decided they wanted to make a medieval co-op horror game with, and I quote, a gritty low fantasy setting. They built a prototype in Unreal Engine 5, posted footage on Reddit and social media, and it just, well, exploded. The original trailer hit nearly 4 million views. The Steam wishlist counter started climbing and it didn't stop. By the end of 2022, they were one of the most wishlisted games on the entire platform, and they hadn't even formed a proper studio yet. 2 people, a prototype, 4 million views. Meanwhile, I can't get my mates to watch a 2-minute video I send them. Life's not fair. After the trailer went viral, something interesting happened. Well, nothing. For about 2 years, the team went almost completely silent publicly. No new trailers, no flashy announcements, no hype circle, and people started getting nervous. Reddit threads popped up asking if the game was even real. Comment sections filled with, is this another one of those games that would just never come out? And honestly, fair enough. We've all been burned before, and what actually happened behind the scenes was that Mads and Ulrik were being smart. In April 2024, they announced a partnership with Behavioral Interactive, the studio behind Dead by Daylight, who came on as a publisher and a development partner. And rather than rushing something out to capitalize on the hype, they made the decision to rebuild the game's core systems from scratch, which is the kind of move that delays things enormously but tends to produce significantly better games. The team expanded from 2 people to several dozen full-time professionals. They weren't ignoring the hype, they were using the time the hype brought them. Right, for anyone who's somehow missed the last 4 years, here's what this actually is. Blight Survival is a PvE action horror game set in an alternative 14th century Europe. A deadly plague called the Blight has erupted from the remains of soldiers killed in an endless war between the 2 kingdoms. It spreads through the no man's land between them, turning the dead and eventually the living into twisted, violent creatures. You play as a member of the Rhythms, a brotherhood of knights who've been tasked with venturing into the infected territories to find and destroy the source of the Blight. You can play solo in a co-op with up to 3 friends. It's not open world, it's mission based, with large handcrafted maps that you deploy into from a central stronghold hub. And the pitch from the developers is that this sits at the intersection of action horror, roguelike progression, and extraction style risk reward, without being a clone of any of them, which is ambitious, very ambitious. The combat is the reason 1.5 million people wishlisted this game before it even had a publisher. The original trailer showed directional melee combat that looked weighty, visceral, and actually brutal, swords connecting with armour, finishes that made people wince, animations that felt grounded rather than floaty. And the new footage from March 2022 doubled down on that. The finisher system they showed at the Future Games show was short but effective. Close up, bone crunching kills with sound design that suggests someone in that studio really enjoys their job. Behavioral described the combat as deliberate. This isn't a hack and slash. Every action matters, timing is critical, and even at 4 players they want encounters to feel tense rather than chaotic. There's a directional system, customizable loadouts with weapons, armour and talents, and apparently a high skill ceiling for people who want to master it. The creative director described every fight as potentially your last, which is either exciting or exhausting depending on your tolerance for stress. This is the bit that could make or break the whole thing. Blight Survival has extraction elements, but the developers have been very careful to say it's not an extraction game. Ashley Pennell, the senior creative director at Behavioural, explained it like this: you deploy into a mission, you gather resources and loot, and at various points you have to decide whether to push deeper for better rewards or extract early and bank what you've got. If you die, you lose your gear and your character. You return to the stronghold with a new member of the Brotherhood, but your stronghold has persistent progression. You upgrade things like your blacksmith, unlock better equipment over time. So individual runs are high stakes, but your overall progress carries forward. Panel specifically name-checked Helldivers and Deep Rock Galactic as influences on the extraction loop, rather than games like Escape from Tarkov or Marathon. So think less hardcore survival shooter and more co-op mission with meaningful consequences. The core loop is, go in, push as far as you dare, and decide when you leave. Which sounds simple, but if the combat delivers on what they've shown, that decision is going to be agonising every single time. In March 2026, the team finally broke their long silence in a big way. They appeared at the Future Games Show Spring Showcase with new in-engine footage, a developer update video, and an in-depth interview with IGN. Here's what we learned. First, the game hit 1.5 million Steam wishlist, which is a frankly absurd number for a game with no release date from a studio most people hadn't even heard of 3 years ago. Second, they've been running small-scale closed playtests with community members pulled from their Discord, which now has over 45,000 people in it. Third, the team confirmed that public playtesting will happen in 2026, which will be the first time anyone outside closed groups gets hands-on with the game. And fourth, the 80-level interview from GDC 2026 revealed that the game has a structured campaign with a clear beginning and end, not just endless runs. There are main missions that push the narrative forward, plus emergent side objectives in each map. That last point is huge, because it means that this isn't just a mission grinder, there's an actual story arc tying it all together. So let's address the thing everyone's thinking: is this game actually real, or is it just another beautifully rendered promise that's going to quietly vanish? And I think the honest answer is, it's real, but it's not coming soon. IGN directly said, don't expect a release in 2026. The December 2025 dev update on Steam said release is still a ways off, but public playtesting will kick off in 2026. Multiple sources point to 2027 as the realistic window, possibly later. They acknowledged in an interview with IGN that people have been burned by games that look too good to be true, and said the team's goal is to prove that we are making a real game that is awesome. They were refreshingly candid about it, didn't dodge the question, didn't pretend the concern isn't valid. And there are some actual reasons to believe them. Behavioural Interactive is a real, established publisher with a shipped multiplayer horror game generating revenue. The team has expanded to dozens of people. They're running regular playtests. They showed in-game footage at a major showcase, not pre-rendered cinematics. But none of that guarantees the final product will match expectations. Nothing can. But the signs point to a studio that's taken the time to do it properly rather than rushing something out. The confirmed platform right now is PC via Steam. That's the only one officially listed on the store page. However, and this is important, console releases are heavily hinted at. The developers have previously confirmed the game will come to consoles, and recent coverage from sources like Gamatsu has listed PS5 and Xbox Series X as planned platforms. During the March 2026 update cycle, footage was spotted being played on an Xbox controller, and multiple outlets listed PS5 and Xbox in their coverage. The safe assumption is that consoles will come after PC, possibly a time gap. But if you're sitting there waiting for a PS5 or Xbox confirmation before you get excited, I'd say it's a matter of when, not if. There's no mention of Switch 2 anywhere, and given the Unreal Engine 5 visuals, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. So that's Blight Survival, 4 years since a 2-person studio broke the internet with a prototype, and it's somehow still the most exciting thing nobody's played yet. Let me know in the comments if you're still waiting for this one or if the silence has put you off. Subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.